Mehrmals kam inzwischen jetzt auch die Frage auf.
By now, many times the question has come up in the context of the solutions that are being discussed here, what does it look like with Glass-Steagall? And that is two questions. One question from an economist of the southwest of the United States, who was formerly part of the government. And he says that it is clear that the situation in Greece has reached a critical proportions, as the real economy is shrinking at an accelerating rate while the debt keeps growing. How is it possible that there is no general outcry in Germany over this? What happened to the German economists who studied the German economic miracle, who understood the growth of the physical economy as the focus of investments, and asks, is there a chance that Glass-Steagall will be implemented in Germany? I hope that there will be, because I'm ashamed to see that in the United States there is no real understanding of this grave crisis. And then also connected to this, a very reasonable question from a member of our movement concerning the Greece crisis and how a Glass-Steagall introduction could solve the crisis there.
Well, I think we're in on a short-term fuse, the situation will change very quickly. I've already referred to an article of the former head of the Bundesbank, Schlesinger. He warns about warlike printing actions of money. And that is being done today, because you have these swap treaties between the Federal Reserve of the US and the European Central Bank. Tons of money has been printed in all kinds of ways. This could lead to an explosion very quickly, because you have to remember that the hyperinflation of 1923 also took 3 years until it manifested out in the open. After the First World War, Germany was suffering under a huge debt, which was increased by the gigantic amount of reparations which had to be paid under the Versailles Treaty. So the Reichsbank just printed money to do that. And it was not visible until in the spring of 1923, the Rhineland was occupied by French troops, so there was no more work being done, and then the inflation just exploded. You had billions, money bills of billions and trillions, and then people took they went with wheelbarrows to the bakery to pay, wheelbarrows full of money. Today we have economists who talk about the ketchup theory. The idea is inflation is like a bottle of ketchup. You press and try to get something out, and nothing is coming out in the beginning. And then if you press a bit more, you get the whole shebang coming out at once. And it's really like that. Because we're at a point where hyperinflation can manifest itself very quickly. And then I think the question will be if we can, in due time, put the Glass-Steagall debate on the agenda. And we're fortunate to have more backing of this policy in other countries than we have in Germany. In Sweden, we have two political parties that are behind it. We had hearings in another country. We have a big debate in France. the leading candidate of the Socialist Party in France, François Hollande, has announced that he wants to go in this direction. But he also said that he sees the financial world as an enemy, but he has withdrawn from that position again. So the only one in France, the presidential candidate who is totally for Glass-Steagall, is Jacques Cheminade. And as I said, under these extremely tense conditions, it could be that Jacques Cheminade will become the president of France. Currently, this might look improbable because he doesn't have the financial means, which the other candidates do have. But I would not underestimate that we have those layers of the population who all realize that he's the only one telling the truth and the only one has a concept. And on his election poster, you see what he wants. He says, we want a city without Wall Street and without the City of London. And there's a lot of economists who are indirectly supporting him by coming out for Glass-Steagall in public. For example, the former Prime Minister Michel Rocard, he had a big article in Libération. He talked about also the war, the possible danger of nuclear war, which is not being discussed about in Europe, even though millions and billions of people could die. But he also talked about Glass-Steagall. We have the same thing going on in Italy, where you have Senator Petalini, who led this thing in the Senate. And the same thing is being prepared for the Italian parliament as well. And then we have former finance minister Tremonti, who has a real campaign going for this. So I think all of this makes clear that the system is hopelessly bankrupt. And what will count then, after this realization, is that enough people work together, get this thing on the agenda. So to make this public and visible for everybody. And I hope the German industry, the German entrepreneurial companies, the Mittelstand, the employees, so those people who have a feeling for physical economy, and also our viewers who I can really only appeal to help us, make this alternative known. Go for Glass-Steagall. And the development I see coming is a total crisis point. And the point might be much closer than people think it is. And we have to make sure that our initiatives will be put through. And if you look at history, it shows. If you have a clear conception, then in those historical breaking points, and in these fantastic moments of history, you can put through a plan. In contrast to those people who believe in the dying system. So again, all viewers, all the audience here, I urge you, help us with this mobilization. It will not come by itself. We need a lot of people who join us in this fight. And if we do that, I think that even in Germany, where the courage is a very rare good these days, then we can do it.